Thursday or Friday, I guess it's Friday. We're going to try Fridays for a little while, see how that does. And we're here to help you create that life worth living, legacy worth leaving, career worth having, and of course, business worth owning. Today, we're going to talk about wholesaling in Illinois. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos out there about it, a lot of content. A lot of you have watched some of the videos that I've done. Last fall, as we know, the Illinois General Assembly passed an amendment to the Illinois State Real Estate Brokers Act that said that if you are going to offer for sale, solicit, place ads, anything of that nature, if you're going to engage in the business of real estate and you are not buying it for yourself, but you're doing it for another, that was a licensed activity. Now, guys, this is something that, a lot of people got all anxious about, very disappointed. But look, in Illinois, if you're going to be a massage therapist, you have to have a massage license. If you want to cut hair, you have to have a barber license. If you want to be an attorney, you have to have a law license. And so if you want to have a business which deals with the buying and selling of real estate, all the state of Illinois is saying is you have to have a real estate license. That's it. It's that simple. Now, there's a lot of discussion about how do we get around this? What do we need to do? What types of things, are the ways that we can avoid compliance with this? What I'll tell you is that if you want to do something and you want to be in business, just do it the right way. Getting a real estate license isn't that difficult. Matt, who's going to be speaking to us in a few minutes, he has a real estate license. He's doing this extremely successfully and effectively. Now, the other question that people raised is, how is the state of Illinois going to enforce this? How is the Illinois Department of Professional Regulation going to possibly enforce this? We have the wholesale police out there walking up and down the streets determining whether or not people are violating this act. Absolutely not. But the real estate brokerage business or real estate agents police themselves. If you're a member of a Facebook group and you put up a property for sale and you don't have a real estate license and you're trying to wholesale, that's $10,000 per act and per violation. If you're sending out letters and you send out 100 letters, that's $10,000 times 100. So the way you're going to get caught is somebody's going to get this letter in the mail, and they're going to take it to their nephew who happens to be a real estate agent, and that real estate agent is going to forward it to the state of Illinois. So the reality is there isn't a way to get around this. But the beauty of it is there's no reason to try to circumvent this rule. All you have to do is get your real estate license if you want to have a business where you are going to be buying and selling real estate and wholesaling that. Wholesaling meaning assignment of contracts, double closings, simultaneous closings. Everyone's trying to be cute and coming up with, well, if we convey things in a land trust, people won't know about it. Or what if I close 3 days later? Look, guys, you need to have your real estate license. That's it. That's the end of the story. All these videos that you see, all these different places, these gurus from other states. In Illinois, having a land trust, if you convey the interest of all or substantially all of a land trust, if you convey the interest of all or substantially all of an LLC or a corporation, it's subject to the Illinois Real Estate Transfer Act, which is deemed to be a real estate transaction. So transferring an interest into trust doesn't get around it. Okay, so before we introduce Matt, who's a very good friend of mine, we're doing these in an interactive way. Obviously, everybody keep their things on mute, all the audio down. If you have questions, put it on the side. Questions are free. Answers cost money. I'll try to answer your questions. And understand that we're here to provide excessive value to the real estate investment community. It is my core belief to help people create that life worth living and legacy worth leaving. So without further ado, very proud of this young man. I know I look a lot younger than him. but actually Matt's younger than me. Matt Mesick with Cobblestone Realty. He's been doing wholesaling extremely successfully throughout the United States for the last couple of years. Matt, welcome to Crossfire.
Hey, Gary. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
So what's the secret sauce with wholesaling? Give us the 10,000 foot according to Matt Mesick, who's done literally hundreds of these transactions.
So the main thing is just, make sure the numbers work. Because I feel like a lot of people, they can do a deal and they just try to talk, say the homeowner into whatever purchase price they're comfortable with. And then they, throw on whatever rehab numbers or ARVs to make it look good. And then you try to sell it and maybe somebody will buy it that doesn't really know the numbers. But most of the time it just gets spread around and then nobody buys your deal. And then it just, then when you send deals to them in the future, they don't believe your numbers. So everything that I do, I make sure to analyze it. I don't just get a property under contract to get under contract and say, oh, I hope I sell it. Everything that I get, the numbers actually work. And actually, if I'm not able to wholesale it in time in the 30 days during the contract period, actually raise capital, buy and close cash on it, and then resell it. So I don't go into anything unless I'm willing to buy it myself. And then,
no, that's an amazing concept, man. I mean, you said a lot in just a very short period of time. You said that when you're wholesaling, you should have integrity, right?
Yeah.
That a deal isn't a deal unless there's a sufficient amount of money for the C party, that end buyer, to also be able to make money. And you're providing value to the initial seller of that property. So I see so often that investors are locking up all these properties without any sort of an exit strategy, without any sort of a buyer's list. And guys, when you listen to what Matt said, he said if he can't find an end buyer, he closes on it. Now, I want you to really just grasp and understand the gravity of what you're doing when you're putting these properties under contract. A lot of these people are in very distressed situations. Matt, what kind of situations are people in when you're going after these distressed assets?
Well, so here's the second part of it too. I know a lot of people go out there and do a lot of direct mail campaigns and go to people's houses and whatnot. What I do is I buy strictly from the banks and the auction houses. So for me specifically, I want to actually enjoy going and meeting with homeowners and talking for an hour about why their house hasn't sold or why they didn't hire a realtor. On the auction sites and from banks, you can get pre-auction lists of things that are going to auction, and the banks are really easy. You make an offer, they'll say yes or no, or they might counter, and then it's just done. And then with that, you have zero marketing costs. You don't have to do all these campaigns. And with that though, instead of kind of going out and driving around and meeting and going on so many appointments, it's more about kind of sitting on your computer, sifting through all the different deals, because a lot aren't deals. So you got to sift through it and find which ones make sense, which ones the numbers work, and you're basically spending a lot more time doing the analysis. That's kind of where my strength lies, is doing analysis and going through the numbers. So I go through there and I basically cherry pick the ones that I'm like, this looks like a great deal, and I'll put an offer on it. And then banks are way easy to, you're not going back and following up months later and going back and forth with the homeowner. So those are basically those two things.
And you can find these bank-owned properties. There are sites where you can search for these all over the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's about 7 auction sites, auction.com, Hubzoo, and then 5 others. And those are, and then, the next level to that is to talk directly with banks and asset managers at community banks and their REO lists. And kind of what's perfect for right now, if you're looking to get into this now, is there's going to be a huge windfall from everything that's going on with COVID right now because of the, everyone went into forbearance for 3 or 4 months because all the banks were offering it. So I just got an email from somebody, nationwide that, now you got to start paying again. Of everyone that went into forbearance, only 35% started paying again. And actually 65% of those that went into forbearance just went into default this month. And then, the second month they do that is when you get the notice of default and the list pendants. Then obviously foreclosure follows that. So it's a great time to get into this with the banks now, because next year there's going to be like a slew of REOs, all around the country.
So let me summarize a couple of things. Number one of the nuggets that I heard there is that right now we know, like in Cook County, we'll use that as there's moratorium on foreclosures, et cetera, et cetera. So we have this big backlog. We don't actually know how much backlog at the banks, because the banks aren't even filing these cases yet. But once that unjams, we're anticipating this huge slew coming up winter, spring, into summer of 2021 of inventory on the market. Second thing I want to talk about is Matt talked about just buying bank-owned properties, because number one, that fits with his model of integrity. He doesn't have to worry about the fact that, if this doesn't happen to work out, that seller who's on the verge of foreclosure, who just came through a divorce, who just lost their job, who's betting everything on Matt's word, that all of a sudden, if he can't perform, he's just drastically destroyed someone's life, because it was the last chance they could sell this house before they sold it. So he's decided to work just on the institutionals. I'm assuming because he can control his variables. So it's a very, very interesting thing. Now, the third thing is when Matt buys bank-owned properties, what everyone needs to recognize is that it's extremely important when you're going to wholesale to know what levers you can pull. For example, Matt, banks, do they allow assignment of contracts?
They don't ever. Just like even when they do short sales, you can't do that.
So guys, if you're wanting to assign contracts, the bank won't let you switch that out. So in that particular case, we have to double close, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, correct.
We have to understand whether there's deed restrictions, because if there's deed restrictions on that particular deed, that might not be an asset we can buy, correct?
Yeah. What's cool about that is that kind of scares a lot of people away. And then if you kind of figure out those deed restrictions, and there's some risk management, but I've actually bought some of those where we've been able to get around certain things. And you kind of have, some of those are the best deals because it scares everyone else away. But, I would say definitely be more experienced with that or do more due diligence. But yeah, that is something to look out for.
Now, the other thing, and Matt and I are going to talk about this when we get off the call, because we had a circumstance that came up in the last couple of days that I have to ball Matt out about a little bit, but that's attorney-client privilege. The key is we're signing all these documents at closing right now, and it's called a COVID disclosure. And what's happening is, governments didn't operate efficiently in the past. They're even more inefficient now. So deeds are taking months to record, okay? Deeds are taking months to record because there's not the employees at the courthouse and at the recorder's office that are taking these deeds and recording them. So when you are wholesaling, it is extremely important that you control the title both on the front end and the back end, because if you don't control it on both sides, you're never going to be able to sell that. Why? Because let's say you closed with Fidelity with your initial closing and they were recording the deed. If the Cook County Recorder of Deeds office hasn't yet made that of record, and then you are selling it and you sell it with ABC Title, ABC Title can't issue an owner's policy. They can't close it because you're not the owner of record. You can't convey something that you don't own. But Fidelity can ensure that because they know that they had that deed and they sent it in for recording. So Michael, make sure you let Tommy Schray from Click Invest in. He's in the waiting room. And oh, by the way, guys, I don't want to monopolize this on Matt, but I happen to notice that my very good friend, Christine Kozel, is watching. If you go to Chicago RIA, and subscribe to their Facebook page, or be friend Andrew Holmes on Facebook. There's a very, very, very wonderful video of Christine that they just put up this week. Christine is a remarkable lady. I almost call her the angel of death, because she's in her 70s and she is the sweetest, nicest lady yet. She is the one that you send in that everyone thinks is this nice lady, but she can close deals and get people to sign contracts like nobody's business. But at any rate, and she has wholesaled successfully several properties in the last few years. So Matt, keep going on your process with multi-state wholesale.
Yeah, so something else I want to point out is, a lot of wholesalers get a bad rap because kind of what we said, they get a property under contract, the numbers might not work, they'll send it around, it won't sell, and then they leave the homeowner who was, expecting to either move out or move on with their life or whatever they had planned, kind of in the dust, and they go, sorry, I couldn't sell your property. And that's why they kind of instituted the Illinois law to have your license now. So it's happening a lot. So, first of all, stay away from those properties if they don't work, because what you're doing, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the homeowner's time, you're wasting all the cash buyers' time, looking at these properties that, don't make sense. The other thing is that, I have a 3-part exit strategy. So with wholesaling, and that way, there's only one way to get out. What I was doing before, when I was doing these big giant, fix and flips at the gut rehabs, those are too big to rent out to somebody. So your only exit is just to sell to an end buyer, and then you got to wait for those end buyers at that price point in the market. So what I have going now is, so we had a property under contract with the bank where the numbers work. For the first 30 days, we'll market it and look for an investor buyer. And then if we find one in those first 30 days that can also close in those first 30 days, that's, exit strategy 1. So that's probably 30% of the properties we're able to just double close in the first 30 days during the contract period. And then if we're getting close, maybe a week before closing, we don't have any buyers yet, because, I do this all over the country. So I closed 55 houses in 21 states in the last 15 months. So some of these, because I don't focus on any area, one specific area, I just focus on the numbers and analysis. So a lot of them are secondary or tertiary markets where there's less competition, which is why, I'm able to pick up these properties and, not competing or bidding with other investors there. But then also there's less investors in those markets to sell to. So if that, when that happens, what I do, leading up to the week when we have to close, I'll raise capital, we'll close cash. And then I stay away from, say really bad properties, because then you can only sell to investors who do a lot of construction and gut rehabs. So kind of say ones that are more, obviously the 1920 or earlier is really old. If you got, 1950s or 1970s or newer, it's less construction. So we'll close cash, and then we'll just list on the MLS the next day with the local realtor there. And then obviously that's going to get a lot more eyes on it because it's on the MLS. So that's the second strategy is buy as is, sell as is. So, in a way it's wholesaling, but it's basically a fix and flip without the fixing. So it's buying and then reselling. And then, some time goes by and you kind of you see what offers you get in with that. But the third strategy is to actually do the flip yourself. And so when I focus on properties, it's either $25,000 or less in rehab. So if you see something that's kind of so close to retail that you're okay, a retail end buyer who's going to move in, buy this to live in. If it's so close where you're just okay, if this was repainted, or if you put appliances in, or, a few things here and there, it just makes sense to just, finish off the property, to just put it, on the open market to a retail buyer. So if it's 25,000 rehab or less, what we'll do, and we kind of got a good strategy set up, because contractors are kind of the hardest thing to, manage in the project and whatnot, is the local realtor there that we use, we'll ask them for referrals, and then we'll also ask them if they'd be willing to manage the project. And actually a lot of them are ecstatic about it because, everyone's watching these flipping shows and they're oh, I want to do a fix and flip. But obviously they basically get to do it with, not their own money or house, but they get to go through the process, the finishes and all that. And then obviously a realtor in their own market is going to know what people expect in that market better than, we will. And then they're happy because, we do this off the bat, right? Because if, I'm buying around the country, we don't go to any of these houses. What we do is it's purely off of numbers, and then we'll reach out to a local realtor to basically get their idea of what the as-is value is and the ARV value, to basically see, how spot on I am. And then if it lines up with kind of where we're at, we're like, okay, this is a deal. And then also so they can kind of drive by and check it out and make sure the house isn't, the house is still standing, which there was an instance where we were going to buy a house and it was like caved in. So we backed out of that one. So you do want, boots on the ground, at least check the physical condition of the property. And then get their local analysis as part of the due diligence process. And then, what we can offer is like, hey, we're under contract, or we just won this property either at auction or with the bank. We're about to go under contract. The banks actually allow you to put a buyer agent on the contract to represent us and get paid. So basically think about if you're a realtor in an area and you're getting a call from out of state investor and you're like, hey, I'm about to buy this house a few blocks from where, you had one of your listings. Then I can put you on the contract, you'll get paid immediately. And then, after I buy this property, I'll need to list it. So I need to list it. So they're getting paid once on the buy, once on the sale. And then if it does need that much rehab and they have some contractor referrals and they manage it, we also pay them like a small project management fee. So like realtors love us because you're getting paid 3 times on one deal. And then, there's the potential to do multiple deals. So there's one realtor in Connecticut where we've done 4 flips with her. So she's gotten paid 12 times, which is way better than obviously you have a retail buyer who buys once and then maybe in 5 years they're going to buy again. So, we're always kind of like, they go above and beyond for us and put us first amongst all their other clients because they're getting paid 3 times on every deal. And then, so they're managing the biggest thing with the contractors is they kind of don't care about their reputation. So if something messes up or they ruin it, they'll just move on to the next person. The thing with realtors is, you got an online presence, you're licensed, you have credibility, integrity, or at least you should. So you have all these things to lose. So like a realtor would be more on top of a contractor than sometimes even an investor because they have all these things to protect. And then it kind of makes it a lot easier for us because we just kind of do check-ins with them. And then obviously, since these are small rehabs, they're like 2 to 6 week rehabs. So they're kind of quick in and out. But yeah, that's big. So that's the third exit strategy. So probably 30% we're double closing to an investor buyer that's local. And then probably like another, say 40% we're buying as is, selling as is on the MLS to an investor buyer. And then maybe like the last 30%, we're actually rehabbing it, coordinating through a realtor and a contractor virtually, and then just listing it on the open, on the MLS to a retail buyer. And when we do that, we make sure for every dollar of rehab we put into a property, we're either getting 2 to 3 times as much, so $2 to $3 back in ARV value for putting in that rehab. Otherwise, it's not worth it. But the cool thing about this is because, I kind of look at it as like a supply chain, right? So if you're buying from the MLS, you're buying at the very bottom usually, or from wholesalers because they're taking out all the funds. And then above that, say, traditional wholesalers are getting their, properties from, motivated sellers. But beyond that, like the banks are basically like the supply where, usually like there's 3 or 4 levels below that where people get paid. So since we're getting directly from the banks, when we do list, even if we have to take, 10, 20, whatever, 30,000 less than list price, like there's so much spread on a deal where it could sustain that. So it's really easy when you actually when you're sourcing properties from banks and then you're rehabbing them and listing them because there's a lot of room to kind of play around. So we don't have to sit on the market for months and months. If we get a great offer in the first couple of weeks, that's a little bit lower list, then we'll accept it. But that's basically having those 3 exit strategies set up. So not just being a wholesaler, but that's part of like the 3 exit strategies. And then the last one, which we haven't done yet, but totally makes sense, is say if it sits on the market and it doesn't sell for whatever reason, we could always rent it out. Because all these properties that we're focused on, we buy anywhere from, 30 to 100,000 per purchase price. And then the rehabs, are 10 to 30,000. And then ARVs are, 120 to 250. So it's right in the normal, 80% of the buyers are right there because that's where FHA loans are and whatnot and, small down payments. So they sell pretty immediate because that's where all the buyers are looking to buy from.
So Matt, it's so refreshing to hear somebody who's wholesaling that actually talks about a financial analysis and talks about numbers and talks about determining what a property is worth and talks about ARV and talks about rehab costs. As many people know, I represent many of the high net worth investors in the Chicagoland area, a lot of hedge funds, private equity groups, family offices, and a heck of a lot of the high net worth individuals. My clients buy wholesale properties all the time, but they don't have a lot of time. They've got more money than they have time. And when wholesalers provide them with a quote unquote deal, and that deal is at a retail cost, and you tell somebody that it's a $10,000 rehab when, you know, even if you did all the work yourself, it would be $50,000. This is the kind of thing where you as a wholesaler will never, ever sell a property. So you just really need to focus on as a really clear on your numbers, to know your numbers extremely well, because these high net worth people that buy these assets, they have a load of people they can buy them from. And you have one shot at the apple. And if you give them bogus numbers or a bogus pro forma, you're never going to sell them a property again. I can't stress to you enough how important understanding and treating this truly like a business. A lot of people say that, you know, oh, I'm going to start with wholesaling because I don't have a lot of money. And, you know, that's all fine. But recognize that wholesaling is like the 400 level course of real estate. It is the most complex. There is no set guide to get this property under contract and then, you know, use this assignment agreement or this contract form. There is a massive, with respect to what properties you find, whether it's a short sale, a VA property, a Fannie Mae property, something from Ryan Smith, just a regular MLS deal, a probate deal, a divorce deal. Each one of those require different types of contracts and different types of places that you need to go for those resources. Matt, give me some examples. I know I'm putting you on the spot of common mistakes where you've seen wholesalers just absolutely botch things up. I know I have one after you go, but where are the biggest mistakes that investors make? If there was one thing such that a wholesaler was to do it, everything else would be easier and unnecessary. What's the common pitfalls to avoid?
Well, the biggest thing is like, so, you know, you go in and say you're newer and you don't know how to, you don't have the confidence enough to speak with the, you know, the seller, the homeowner. So, you know, you go in, let's say if you do your numbers right, and you know you got to get the property under contract for $50,000, and the homeowner is like, well, I'm not going to go lower than 70, right? So what you should do is just say, okay, well, I can't do that price. You know, thanks for, you know, good meeting you, right? And what they'll do a lot is like, okay, well, I don't want to lose the deal. They just agree to whatever the seller wants, and then they'll just, you know, if they knew the rehab or they thought the rehab, say, was $50,000, they'll just lower the rehab by $30,000, or the ARV, if they knew it was going to be like 200, now they're going to bump it up. So they'll just, it's kind of, you just slide the numbers so they make sense, but you knew at the beginning that it was only 50. So the whole thing is a lot of wholesalers would do that, but if everyone kind of got on the same page, because if nobody offered the seller that 70,000, what she's going to do is go around and, you know, some sellers, they'll go around and they look at all the the road signs, right? And they'll call like 8 of them, and they'll just have a bunch of people come in to give offers. If she goes around and nobody offers her 70, she'll eventually sell it for that 50, which is a deal for everybody. But so just kind of like complying to what the seller wants instead of what, you know, actually needs to be done. And then just just fudging the numbers and hoping someone's going to buy it. And then so that's why everyone gets in. They're like, oh, wholesaling's hard. I spend all this market dollars going on all these appointments. And another big one to even save that is on the phone. What you can say with the seller is, because you can do the numbers from a computer, like I've done it for the last year with the bank-owned properties. So before you even go on the appointment, say, hey, just judging by your house and the condition you said it was in and the area it's located, I'm probably going to be within this range, right? So if you say, oh, I'm going to be within 30 to 60 on the phone, and she goes, okay, well, no. And then you say, is it even worth my time coming out? And she'll say, well, no, I'm not going to sell it for less than 70. So then, you just saved your time and then don't even go out. So a lot of people kind of spin their wheels so much and go on appointments, and then you have nothing to show for it. Or even worse, you do get under contract at a price that's not going to work for anybody. And then you waste all this other time sent to everybody. And by the time all of that goes through, and at the end of the day, you don't sell the property, you're just exhausted from doing all this. And you're like, okay, wholesaling doesn't work. And it's like, no, because, the numbers are what the numbers are, and you're not sticking to them, and you're trying to force a deal where there's not a deal. So I'd rather more have like, instead of going on 100 appointments where there's, where 100 deals don't exist, I'd rather call 100 people and only go on those 20 appointments where, oh, there's some wiggle room where we could probably work something out, where the numbers work for both sides. And that's the biggest thing I've seen from other wholesalers.
One of the things that I have seen a lot, and heck, we probably get in 10 to 20, well, maybe not that many, 10 a week, new wholesale contracts from investors. And with new wholesalers, they'll give me a contract where they're buying it for 100 and they're selling it for 104,000. And they're like, I'm making $4,000. And I have to explain to them that there's title expenses on the front end, there's attorney fees, there's all sorts of things. Or they'll use a contract where they're not controlling title on the first transaction. And then they have the closing, their second closing on the exact same day. Well, guys, if you close, for example, on 123 Skidoo Street at 9 a.m. at First American Title, and there's a deed getting conveyed to you, and then at 1 p.m. you expect to close at Fidelity Title, conveying it to Matt, it's not going to happen. Fidelity can't insure that title. So you have to control that process. And you need to control your costs, and you need to know your numbers, which is what Matt's been talking about. You need to know your numbers for the sake of your person who's selling it, so that you do what you say. You need to control your numbers for the person who you are selling it to, because they're relying on the information that you're providing to them, and they're never going to buy another property from you ever again if they rely on that information and you're wrong. And you have to know your numbers for yourself, because I have seen it happen so many times where people have literally given me contracts, and on day one, the cost to complete that transaction, they're minus $5,000 or $6,000. So I wanted to say one other thing too, and then I'll bounce back to you again, Matt. The enforcement of the wholesale law in Illinois. Every time people ask me, is it being enforced? I said I haven't heard anything yet, but most recently, my understanding is that there's been a number of people who are under investigation, have been turned in. The state of Illinois is out of money. I mean, we're all a member of all these different Facebook groups. If I was a enforcement official for the state of Illinois, I could join the 10 biggest real estate investment Facebook groups and probably make $1 million in fines just by scrolling through all the people who are offering properties for sale that they don't own. That is something that people need to take extremely seriously. And obviously we need to comply with the rules and laws. And again, if you're going to be in this business, whatever it is, do it the right way. I can't stress that enough. Matt, is it different in each state? Do you need to, how are you guys doing? Do you have to, some states have lawyers, some states don't have lawyers. How have you kind of cut through the bureaucracy? Because we're talking about Illinois has a wholesale law, right? Or we're covered under the Real Estate License Act. A lot of states don't have that. People don't, understand that Illinois has this. How are you identifying what you can do in each state that you're active in?
Basically what we're doing is you want to find a really good title company that you can work with them nationwide, or, the states that you're going to be working in. And that one, if you're looking to do it on a large scale, one that wants to grow with you and, get for them to get licensed in those other states to represent you. But basically we worked with 3 different title companies. Right now we pretty much exclusively work with one outside Illinois, kind of let them handle all that. And a lot of states out there aren't attorney states where an attorney is required. New York, one is. So what that title company would do, they'll go and they'll locate someone local, another title company or an attorney, and we'll close through them. Do you really want to use someone else that kind of knows those laws so you don't have to figure out everything on your own? But that's really what we do, is we just work through the one title company that kind of goes and checks on all those laws for us. And then if we need to do something additional, or locate another attorney or title company just in that specific state, they'll let us know that.
One of the questions we got is someone wants to know, are you getting referral fees from out-of-state agents too?
So I could do that if I wanted to. We're not, because we're not just trying to nickel and dime everything. Because you know what, it would be like 25% of our own properties of the own purchase and sale back. We really want to give that realtor like the full commission, so that they work on our behalf exclusively. But that's something, if we wanted to kind of add that revenue stream, we could, but we're not doing that. Okay,
so guys, we're going to talk about what Matt said for a second again, because I just want to reinforce things. A lot of times we go to classes or we go online and we talk about investments. They're like, push down your carpenter as low as possible and go get the lowest possible bidder. But this industry is so small. If people are sourcing deals for you, or they have access to, I have a database of 8,000 investors that actively invest, probably larger than any other person in the entire state of Illinois. That's something that people covet. I don't give it out, right? But people want access to that information. Same thing with realtors, right? If a realtor's bringing you a deal, then you should list that property with them. Because how do people, they're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they need to make money. So if there's more investors than there are inventory. So if a realtor brings you a deal, you need to make sure that that person is compensated properly, because they could have sold it to anybody else. So what basically Matt's saying is he's coming from a place of abundance, not a place of scarcity. And too often in this world, we all come from a place of scarcity, and we talk about dividing up a 12-inch pie rather than making that pie as large as possible. So Matt's saying, hey, I could get that 25%, but I'd rather give it to them because they're going to be incentivized to bring me 3 more deals. And so the $1,500 that I'm going to make is short money compared to the 3 deals that they're going to bring me, where I'm going to make 10 or 15,000 per property when I wholesale. Am I summarizing that right, Matt?
That's exactly right. And I'll add another example to that. So we have 2 properties in Alabama that we're rehabbing, and we had used a contractor referral from our agent. He did like some work, and then he kind of didn't come back around. He had some stuff going on in his life, so whatever, he disappeared. So then we got another contractor from that same realtor, and she basically went and kind of cleaned up the mess that was left behind to clean out and some other stuff. And basically, so we use e-checks, like Deluxe e-checks has this cool thing where instead of to pay people, you can just email a check directly to them, and they can print it out at their computer and go and cash it, or just cash it right on your phone like you deposit a check, or they even have like an instant feature. But anyway, so this new contractor comes in, does the clean out. I don't know, I think it was like $3,500. She sends the invoice. I literally send an e-check within 2 hours, and she gets it. And she goes, in my entire 18 years of doing this, I've never gotten paid this quickly. Like, she was just like flabbergasted. And then she did the clean out on the other property, which was like $1,500. And then we sent the e-check again, and she's like, within an hour, she's like, you guys rock. So that was just that example of like, don't make them, wait, like treat your team well. So here on the flip side of it is the one property, because we were switching through contractors, it kind of sat for a little bit. That contractor in that town happens to be like one of the top contractors and is really well known with the city, is really good friends with that city inspector. Because it was sitting for a little bit, the city actually thought that the bank had still owned it, and they were basically talking about whether to tear it down or not. And because that contractor had that relationship, they're like, no, out-of-state investors own this. They just hired me. We're going to get ready to rehab it. And because we paid her so quickly and didn't make her wait and do this or say, oh, that seems too, those prices are too expensive. So now we're kind of in with the right people. So it's always just like, whoever's on your team, don't try to nickel and dime everybody. Don't try to argue like they're not. Work with people, and don't treat them like they're working for you, like you're bossing people around and forcing them to do whatever you want. Like everyone does better when everyone works as a team, and then that's how you build like long, fruitful relationships. And that kind of just goes into business in general and whatever you do.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Guys, if you want to get on Matt's list to see his properties, I put over on the group chat on the side, send me an email to gdavidson@castlelaw.com. That's gdavidson, D-A-V-I-D-S-O-N, @castlelaw.com. I'll get you on Matt's list. That's sort of my why when I wake up. I like to help pull people up and help grow businesses. I want to help Matt's business, and I want to help you guys. If you want to subscribe to the Castle Law podcast, we've got a massive amount of great content talking about a lot of different subject areas. Again, on your Zoom group chat there, you're going to see our YouTube channel where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look, huge opportunities coming up in 2020, late in 2021. A lot of what may happen is, things are going to open up, and we're going to see a lot of different outcomes depending upon what happens on November 7th. We don't know where interest rates are. Be patient. Interest rates are extremely low. We're doing closings today. I think our office had 23 closings today. Interest rates are 2.5%. Even somebody with bad credit, they were at 3 3/4. What happens when interest rates are 2.5%? People have massive amount of buying power. Properties right now are being sold for over list price, multi-offer. So as investors, that means that the inventory is low. So we have to come up with strategies like buying from wholesalers or wholesaling to find inventory. The other thing is be very, very, very patient. The market always corrects itself. I've been doing this for 25 years. What Matt said at the onset, this doesn't have anything to do with wholesaling. But what Matt said at the onset is there's a huge amount of REO inventory that we don't even know about that's going to be coming onto the market. So if you're trying to buy a property, be patient. We don't buy properties for the sake of buying properties. We buy properties for the sake of making money. So we need to strike while the iron's hot, work with people like Matt to find those properties and wait for that market correction. Right now, rentals are better than flips. Flips are like finding a needle in a haystack, Matt. I mean, flips, I mean, it's pretty tough to find. You're finding them with your wholesales, but it's not like it was a few years ago.
Yeah, that's correct. Inventory got really low. But it's right at the precipice of just everything's about to come in the next, 6 to 12 months. Following all these foreclosures that are about to happen.
And real cool, Efren just asked what the favorite markets are. Matt says Connecticut, Alabama, Florida, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Interestingly, a lot of Southeast United States there. We've got Connecticut and New Jersey as sort of outliers, but beyond that, you're looking at that, that Bible Belt corridor of down in the South there. What's so good about the Southeast United States?
I don't know. Just properties move quick. You can get good prices. They sell quick. I don't know the why. I just know that it is.
Right, exactly. So guys, feel free to reach out to me. This is Gary Davidson, Castle Law Zoom Crossfire. We're going to be doing these every Thursday and Friday. We'll have Matt back again. I am sitting in Westchester at the lounge of Chicago Title waiting to do a closing. I need to get in there. Right before we came on, the seller in this transaction that I'm about ready to do apparently tried to run over one of the realtors in the parking lot. So I'm going to go in and try to make peace. Not every transaction is smooth, but I'll try to use some good Gary Davidson psychology, and by the end of it, everyone will be happy. Matt, before I sign off, any final thoughts, or you think we're done?
You know what? I want to share one more thing, just because we talked about the numbers quite a bit. But that's cool to say, but what does it actually mean? So basically, one thing that wholesalers get wrong is like rehab costs, right? Because usually they're newer and they've never done a rehab. Like, how do you know what something's going to cost unless you get contractors in there to give you bids? So there's basically like something that I kind of like termed, I call like a purchase ratio. So it's a way to figure out what you should pay for a property without even including the rehab costs. Because everyone knows that the formula is okay. 65 or 70% of ARV minus repairs is what you want to, the max you want to buy, your maximum allowable offer. But what if you don't know how to figure out rehab costs? So the rule of thumb is most rehabbers buy at 50% of ARV. So if you're a wholesaler, you really want to focus on getting a property at 30 to 40% or lower. Like if you get at 40% or lower, it's most likely a deal. If you get at 30% of ARV or lower, it's usually definitely a deal, unless it's a huge giant, old gut rehab where you got a lot of repairs to do. So generally, if you can get really good at doing your ARVs, which is easy to kind of learn because you look like really close within a few blocks of where the property is, plus or minus 200 square feet, and sold properties only, nothing, active or listed. So you figure out, and then, you want, obviously you got 6 ARVs that are really close to each other instead of a couple that are, the range is bigger. Figure out how to analyze properties ARV wise, and then try to buy at 40% or less of that. And then usually you'll always have a deal, and a rehabber will buy it at around 50%. So that's just kind of way, if you don't know how to estimate repairs, that's a quick ratio that you can do that will get you in the realm of what you need to be.
Awesome. Guys, this is Gary Davidson. This is Castle Law Zoom Crossfire. I really appreciate everybody coming on. We'll see you next week, where we're going to have John Denny from Law Property Management talking about property management, as well as how to be a passive investor in a turnkey flipping business. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.